I read more Conan. So yeah, I'm now slightly over 40 volumes into the series, and I guess to talk briefly without spoilers is I do think I enjoyed this reading more. Like, at this point, with so many cases, the fact that they're still so, like, varied is really cool. Like, if anything, I think that these, like, 20 volumes of cases was probably more varied than the last 20 volumes of cases. And there's always, like, new information or trivia being used. Yeah, it's cool. But, really, I would say, for me at least, the cases are definitely secondary. Because I do like, the characters and their interactions. And, that's definitely, like, what I look forward to more, which I think is part of the reason why, like, the quote-unquote, like, plot stuff is, like, look, whenever the organization comes up, it's like, oh, fuck. And whenever cases, like, get linked together, because sometimes it'll, like, usually the cases are standalone, but then sometimes one case will, like, directly lead into another, which happened last time. This time there was even, like, 3 cases that led from one to the other, at least once, and it's like, I don't know, it's always really like, oh shit, it's cool. But I gotta say, because, someone did respond in the comments last time and mentioned, like, yeah, there's guides for skipping parts, and I can kind of understand that for the anime, because apparently, there's just so much, like, anime original stuff. Like, just read the manga then. What? Though, and from what Vindy told me from when he watched it, is, like, there was one frustrating part where apparently, like, Ron, she thinks Conan might be Shinichi, and then, like, it never comes up in the next episode, which is really weird, and, because even though, like, the manga, brings that up again even in this reading, and, but it's, like, covered, like, it's addressed, it's not just, like, dropped in the next chapter, so I can see that being frustrating if you, watch the anime maybe, but again, I have not seen the anime in full, so, or much of it at all, really. I'm just going on what I know, basically. But like, what I think you lose if you skip cases is, like, one, potential for characterization. 2, it's an ongoing story, and, like, I've been told that apparently in, like, the first 20 volumes or so, there are, like, 18 references or outright, like, plot points introduced that, like, you wouldn't know just going through the first time that come up later. And that's a lot, like, so, whoops, I skipped that one, I don't know who this character is. Well, now the story's still ongoing. It could still bring in some of this information, and now, like, the reading guide has to be updated to account for these cases that didn't seem that important then, but they are now. And what about the cases that, like, parallel stuff? Like, there's one in this reading where it's, like, wrestling, and when the masked wrestler is talking about how his, like, sort of secret identity, where, he's hiding his identity as a wrestler, is interfering with his relationship with his girlfriend. And Shinichi and Ron, like, they're especially, they think about that. And, like, there's, characterization at work there beyond just, like, oh, look, we learned more about this character. Like, parallels and contrast are also just how stories tell. And, like, the other thing is just, like, part of what is kind of neat about, like, reading just the whole thing is that when the notably important stuff comes in, like, it's surprising, like, oh shit, I didn't, like, there was one case where, I guess I'm gonna use this to transition into spoilers, because I kind of, like, brought up one case example, but this one, it's actually a pretty big of spoiler, because this is one of the ones that links into other cases, where there's the cave, and so it's, Conan and the kids, and they're just, like, there's people with guns, and Conan literally gets fucking shot. If you start that one knowing it's going to be important, then maybe that's going to be a little less surprising, because it goes into literally 2 other cases, like, there's a chain of 3, and we're and it's like, it was more exciting seeing that unfold, not knowing it was going to be important at first. And you completely lose that if you follow a reading guide, and just skip to the important parts. So, I just don't really, like, think, I don't know, just don't even fucking read it if you're just gonna skip parts. Jesus. So anyway, now that we're in spoilers proper, I realized there was quite a few things I didn't talk about last time. Like, one character who only made a single appearance in this reading was fucking Kaito Kid, who who is like this big mystery, and well, I guess mystery in the context of Conan, because I did check, and there's apparently a manga Aoyama did called Magic Kaito that the character's from, but I don't I don't really know his deal. And the manga, there's like apparently there's only like 5 volumes, and it was publishing since before Conan even, and it's still publishing now. So I don't know when I should or shouldn't read Magic Kaito. So like right now my thought is I'll just wait until I finish Conan and then I'll check it out. So yeah, there's just this whole like Phantom Thief character who's weird and mysterious, and I don't know what his deal is at all. You know, but and he only appeared once in this reading anyway, so oh well. But if anyone knows when I could read Magic Kaito and how much, that would be cool. Based on like publishing dates, because it seems to have come out over a long period of time. So, but yeah, this reading, well, like Hatori, Shinichi's rival character, he's good. You know, I like him, and his, you know, he actually knows Shinichi's identity, and even though he's kind of a dumbass about almost revealing it sometimes, and like especially like the one with the kendo, where he's like literally in a tournament, and he loses the battle so that he can win the showdown with Shinichi and solve the case before he gets there. And it's like, you dumbass. He's fun. You get a lot of stuff with the police, especially Sato and Takagi, who are they're good. I like them. I especially like one of the recent ones that I read at the amusement park with the drugs in the bag. Which starts out where they're like going on a date, and so all the cops they're supposed to be there staking out for the drugs, but they're just overly invested in Sato and Takagi's relationship because Sato's kind of like the, you know, all the cops admire her, and they're using their fucking cop training to stalk their coworkers. Like, they're such pieces of shit. But it's just so funny. And there was another joke that I thought was funny where Ayumi was like, heroin, like Halloween, that American holiday, and Haibara was like, well, both of them turn you into fun-loving monsters, and I'm like, holy shit. That was probably the most intentional funny part of the manga. The funniest part of the manga so far is definitely with the detective mansion. God, it's so funny. The organizer rolled up a leaf and smoked it, and gave it to everyone else to smoke. Do you know what that leaf was? Marijuana. One guy started attacking people at random. Another started stabbing himself with a pen. A woman cried until her tears dried up. 8 people died and 10 were left comatose because everyone smoked marijuana. I'm sorry, it's just so funny. Oh my god. What? See, like, the thing with Japan having, you know, most of it drugs banned, basically except for cigarettes and alcohol, to my knowledge, is like, I don't know how much people generally know about drugs. Like, is it, you know, I can't tell if it's ignorance or propaganda. And I would assume, you know, at some level of, like, because he, you know, Aoyama, he seems like a smart guy. He, you know, the deductions are fairly logical. He knows a lot of random shit, and like I feel like he just goes around like, what? How can I use like Hinamatsuri dolls on the staircase? How can I use this in a mystery? Right? Like he'll I'm sure he does a lot of research and stuff. So I would. Marijuana is about as dangerous as cigarettes. Actually, possibly less so. Probably less so, actually, because it has at least some level of, like, medicinal help. Like, you know, it can be medical marijuana. Like, it can help people. Right, but so, like, another instance of, like, Inuyashiki, where there was 2 people who were drugged by Yakuza and they wouldn't go to the cops. And I was like, okay, is just having drugs in your system enough to get you like arrested in the you know police system of Japan? Is it their ignorance? Is it the author's ignorance? I don't know, because I don't know nearly enough about I kind of know some things, but I don't know enough to like answer the questions I have about like just the general knowledge of things in Japan. Because I mentioned propaganda because like I read like a Fukumoto short manga that was very anti-drug, and it had similar energy to this moment in Conan. And I get that it's a kids manga, so you know, like that's another reason I say it could be propaganda, where it's trying to be like, hey kids, drugs are bad, like marijuana, it'll make you kill people. But it's just so absurd to me because like everyone else who's lived in my house smokes marijuana. Several of my friends do. Like I know enough about it, even though I've never smoked it myself, right? Because it's just I'm an American. Drug culture knowledge is a different beast over here, and at the very least, it's one I'm familiar with. But I lost it at this part. Like the rest of the case was still good because this was the Detective Mansion one, which also had Kaito Kid and like all the detectives like pretending to be dead after killing each other. Like it was a fun case. I just that part. It was so funny. Holy shit. Oh yeah, I was talking about Sato and Takagi. Yeah, they got a bunch of good stuff. They're cute and dumb. And with Sato's backstory with a coworker or, you know, fellow officer who died, who Takagi reminds her of. And, yeah, they're good. I like them. I also liked, Inspector Megure, the older detective with the mustache, and his chapter with the delinquent girl who was like a decoy, to try and attract, you know, the attention of a criminal. Where in a case where that had happened, or you know, there's a criminal going around and killing people of a certain like aesthetic. It was like, I think it was the Gangro kind of thing. You know, that was a good chapter. I like that one. Another one was one I read recently with Professor Agasa and his childhood first love, as the kids called it. Where he's trying to meet with someone he, you know, vaguely remembered from when he was a kid. And, like, it did the thing that I really like where, you know, the two characters and, like, one of them remembers the other, but you know, it's uncertain if the other one remembers them, and, or stuff like that, but then they do actually remember them. The moment I always remember really getting to me was in 20th Century Boys. But it's like when that happened, and Agasa said the thing, he did recognize her and remember her, and he remembered the line that stuck out to her about the ginkgo and her hair, and he said that as she was leaving, and I was like tearing up, and I'm like, motherfucker. So that was good. I liked it. I liked how there were some cases with Mori that didn't have Ron's dad, that didn't have him like, or like they're, you know, doing, like there was one where Conan, he was sick and so he couldn't do the sleeping kokoro because, you know, he couldn't speak properly. So he had to like sign language his way to informing everyone else about how the mystery was done. And then there was another one where he used his tranquilization needle, beforehand, or so that he couldn't do it later on when it mattered, and then so he had to like you know, because Mori is like capable of understanding things with the, you know, nudges in the right direction, though he is also like kind of arrogant and cocky, especially after the fact. But you know, it was nice to see like even like little variations like that. Generally, he's kind of a piece of shit, especially when it comes to like, you know, women and him being a pervy jackass. But you know, at least like he's not like just a plot device character, which kind of feels like he's regulated to often. You know, but I'm sure he's going like if he like there's 60 volumes left until I'm caught up. Like I'm sure he gets some good stuff. At least I hope. But I guess the reason he kind of stands out is because like he's around a lot of the time, and I guess, you know, in comparison, like even compared to like Ron and Shinichi, I don't think he gets quite as much. So yeah, oh well. But it's like, you know, not the end of the world. And speaking of Ron and Shinichi, especially the stuff they got with the Shinichi older and the restaurant is where it ended off. That was good. And like, I did for a second wonder if maybe, you know, they were going to, you know, have it revealed to her, but instead it like regress is kind of a negative word, but it does like go back even further. Where now Ron doesn't seem to suspect Conan as Shinichi, even though she did before. So yeah, they did address that, like, as I mentioned last time about how like, oh, I think Ron just knows at this point, and yeah, she basically did. Like, she did the blood transfusion because she knew that like they shared a blood type, and she which the only way she knew that is if she knew Conan was Shinichi, but he's able to trick her into thinking otherwise. And he said he had his line at the end, and then later on he mentioned that he wants to protect her, and so he's willing to, like, even if it means like sacrificing their relationship for her safety and for her emotions, because she's just the kind of person who thinks of others. And yeah, I'll take it. Not the person, I guess, like, again, it's just my personal tastes regarding the trope, where it's like, just fucking tell them, God. But no, it's good. I guess just to talk about what I've been dodging around is, I think Haibara is comfortably is she my favorite character? I think so. Because, yeah, just the way she's so self-hating and guilty about her time with the organization, but then, like, she's slowly starting to, become normal, as Shinichi told her after, like, because, there was the one guy in the forest, and she didn't notice his presence, and she's like, I thought I had a good nose for picking out people related to the organization, and Conan's like, oh, doesn't that mean you're becoming normal again? Like, he frames it in a positive way, and the bus jacking, which, kind of an intense one just because of, like, the relative, like, even there was the fucking lady who was giving the signals, and then the fucking guy in the cap has been, like, a regular recurring, like, relative of the organization, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? And, like, but he's met Ron before, and it's like, what? But yeah, Haibara, like, stayed on the bus, and Conan went back to save her, and it was good. And then after that, there was the case with the, like, there's, like, at least, I think she smiled twice this reading, and I'm, like, collecting rare Haibara smiles, or I should go back and screen cap them, because they're good. She's got her stuff going on with the other kids, like, Mitsuhiko fell in love with her, because, like, especially the one part that sticks out to me is when he was listening with, earbuds, and she, like, gets in really close to try and hear it, and he's just, or, with Ayumi wanting to refer to her by her given name, as, because, everyone's normally a bit more respectful to her, because she did, she's more mature, because, obviously. And yeah, she's just being positively influenced by everyone else, and, it's nice, and I like her. And yeah, I guess the last thing of note is probably Jody Sensei, who is, of course, Chris, the, major, probably, like, yeah, a pretty major antagonist so far. Okay, yeah, and I'm curious as to where it's going. My biggest, like, well, I had a thought. I don't think it makes sense, but I did at least at one point have a thought where, like, because there's, the drug that ages people down, and then, so I'm like, wait, did Sharon age herself down to become Chris? I don't think that's the case, but maybe there could be some fuckery there. Somehow, like, I wouldn't put it past Aoyama, but obviously I have 60 volumes left to be proven wrong. But, like, and there's also just the whole motif with sort of God and angels, and just people blaming their bad circumstances on, God's never smiled on me, like, and that kind of thing. But then you had the Golden Apple arc end with Shinichi saying that, he'll become a devil if it means, like, finding out the truth and making, like, if Ron was hurt, for instance. And so that's something to keep in mind for later, I suppose. And I don't know, yeah, see, it's, like, it's interesting. I'm still having fun. If it gun to my head and I had to score it, I'd probably give it a 7 still. But, like, I don't know, it's a really slow burn. Like, I am 40 volumes into this manga, and, like, there's been some, big moments, but it's just, like, Damn. Like, let's see, for comparison purposes, like, let me think. Like, Bleach was getting really close to Ichigo versus Ulquiorra, so you're talking, like, Arrancar, Fake Car Town battle is already in full swing. Turn Back the Pendulum probably recently happened. Naruto was around Data and Sasuke, I think, so, getting up to Itachi, if not past it already. And then with One Piece, you were in Enies Lobby, which was at the time, like, the largest scale arc. Like, all these, these long battles shonen that I'm used to were in these major conflicts, in the 40 volume. And Conan's been, setting up some interesting stuff and even, having some, like, big reveals or, twists at times. But it mostly feels like build up. And so I don't know what to fucking expect when I get to, like, the payoffs. And maybe they'll really hit, and the manga will click with me. I ultimately don't see it becoming a favorite because just like it's just with the thing with the mysteries. It's like I said, they're secondary to me. And even though like I go, oh, that's neat, or oh, I learned something, but like I don't know, that's kind of it. And it's so like a lot of the manga is just spent on something that I'm not super invested in. Like if you're a mystery fan, like. Especially one who speaks Japanese, because there's just so many. Like even if it's not like centered around a language thing, there'll be some times where like there's one where a clue involved the word panda, and that is a slang term in Japan for police cars because they're black and white. And when that was revealed, I was like, that's kind of a huge logical leap. But then it's like, no, it's a slang term that I don't know because I don't speak Japanese. I don't live in Japan. Right, so it's like again, it's hard for me to get invested in solving mysteries when I'm never gonna have all the clues. But if a mystery fan would know all these pieces of trivia, like there are constant references to like Sherlock Holmes and other mystery authors who kind of have done the same. Like it's building on a lineage of other mystery stories, right? So if you're a huge fan of stories, Conan's probably really fucking good. And it's like, I like Danganronpa, but I like being able to solve the mysteries myself. Like, really because I did start replaying Danganronpa, and of course I'm reading Conan, and it kind of made me want to play Ace Attorney a little bit sooner than maybe, I don't know when. It's not, it's not exactly a short game, so it's not something, and I have so many other things to do that I don't feel like just like playing it right now. But it's like, it's something where it's all these murder mysteries and stuff that I can solve, but I haven't solved before. Like, I've already played all the Danganronpa games, right? Or with Conan, I get to the point where it's, like, all these clues, and it's like, well, I'm on a time limit. I have to finish this video by the 24th. So, and the answer is 20 pages away. So am I going to go stop and, like, reread and try and figure out the culprit? And only to discover that it's another Japanese-specific thing, or it's a piece of trivia I didn't think to look for? No, I'm just gonna finish the fucking case. So, it's just a personal thing. It's fine. It's just, and like I said, I think if this is your thing, this is very much your thing. So yeah. Wait, no, I'm still enjoying the series regardless. So it's like, yeah, Detective Conan's still good. I like it. But anyway, I bet yeah, that does it for this one.